Hello guys, and welcome back to another Blender tutorial. So this animation here is what I'm going to be showing you how to make today. This is really cool because this is going to teach you how to use the child of Constraint. It's going to allow you to make this sort of animation in a really cool way without getting too complicated with like a whole bunch of advanced keyframes and things like that. So if this is something you want to learn, keep watching, and I will be uploading my original to the Patreon in the description below. Follow me on Instagram. All of that stuff is in the description below. I hope you guys enjoy making this. I'm going to call this the infinite production line, and I think it just kind of looks pretty cool. So let's jump in and make it. Okay, so let's jump into Blender. I'm going to select all the objects. I'm just going to delete them in the scene here. And let's start by going to a front orthographic view. And we're going to go Shift A. We're going to add in a circle. Let's add in a circle. I'm going to tab to edit mode, and with this whole thing selected, make sure you press A. Select everything. You can go E to extrude and Z, and let's make a disc looking object, probably something about this big. And then we're going to press F with these vertices selected just to fill that face, and let's just select these bottom ones and press F, and now we fill this all. So let's actually also go ahead, grab our edge select, and just select this edge here, holding in Shift and Alt, click on this one so we have both these faces active. And we're going to go Control B and just make a slight bevel. Let's roll the middle mouse button once or twice just to add in some segments. Okay, that's really cool. Let's tab back out. Let's give this a subdivision surface modifier, and let's right click and go shade smooth. Actually, I almost forgot. Let's just quickly tab back in. This is something we have to do. So let's just select this face over here, and holding in shift select this face here. Let's go to our pivot transform and just change it to individual origins. Let's just press I to inset, and we're going to inset it. Let's go about this much, and let's go X and delete both those faces. And let's just set this back to median point, and then let's just select all of these verts over here. And let's press Control E, and let's go bridge edge loops. And now they're bridged. And let's just select these edges here and go Control B just to bevel them, like so. Okay, so now that bit's done. Okay, pretty easy. So now let's go Shift A. Let's add in a UV sphere and leave it exactly where it is. We're just going to tab into edit mode. We're still in our front view. Let's just select the half here and just go X and delete those faces. And let's just select these verts over here and just go G, Z, and let's just move them up till they're on top of here. And let's just go S to scale them slightly. So it's just kind of like a continuation over here. And then we're going to go E to extrude, S to scale. Let's scale it till it's about as big as this hole over here. Let's go E to extrude and Z. Extrude it down and then press F to fill this, and then go Control B, give it a bevel. And let's just quickly in object mode hide this one here by pressing H. And let's just also select this edge and this edge. Control B and just give that a bevel as well. And then let's tab back out. Let's give this a subdivision surface modifier. Right click, let's go shade smooth. And then let's go Alt H to bring back that other disk. So now we have these two bits. Okay, so far we're doing really well. Pretty easy stuff. Let's make our wheels. So we're gonna go Shift A, let's add in a torus under the mesh objects. Tab into edit mode, and let's go Alt S and just scale it in along the normals. Something like this. And then let's go RX90 and press enter. And let's go to our top orthographic view and then go G, Y and move it over. So G, Y, yep, move it right here. And let's go and give this a mirror modifier and disable it for the X, but enable it for the Y. So now we have it mirrored. So if you press 3 on your number pad, you go into your right orthographic view. This is what you should see. Let's go back to our front orthographic. Since we're still in edit mode, let's go Shift A. Let's just add in a cylinder. S to scale that cylinder down, and G, X, move it over. Whoops, G, Y. Yeah, G, Y, move it over. And let's just delete these caps. And with the whole thing selected, let's just actually scale it down a little bit more. And then go S, Z, and scale it up along the Z. Got it to make this column. And if you might have to go into your top view and just move it along the Y, just to kind of get it lined up. And then scale it down a bit. Something like this. And then go S, Z, and scale it up till it's kind of embedded in there. So something like that looks good. We're going to tab out, we're going to right click and go shade smooth. And we could probably give this a subdivision surface modifier. So now we have these two wheels, okay? We don't have to add a bearing or anything here. They can kind of just float. Okay, it's going to look pretty cool anyway. So let's go ahead now. And with this disc here selected, okay, we're going to hold in Shift and select this wheel and go Control P, and we're going to go Object, Keep Transform. And what we're also going to do is we're going to go in our front view. We're going to press A to select everything. We're going to go G, Z, and move it till it's sitting on our ground here, like this. And now let's select this wheel over here. Okay, we're going to select this wheel. Let's go to our timeline here and go to frame 1. And let's open up our properties by pressing N. Let's go over to our item and let's come over here to the rotation and let's press I to insert a keyframe, and also the location, press I. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come over to frame 50. Okay, so frame 50. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go G, X and move it over about 5 meters. Or let's just go about, 5 meters. Okay, so there we go, around 5 meters. In fact, you can just type in here -5 and then press I to insert a keyframe. And then come here to your rotation and then come to the Z value here and type in -360 degrees and then press I to insert a keyframe. So now if you go to frame, okay, so I've messed something up here. Let's have a look. And let's just go over to frame 50. And on frame 50, let's just make this 0 again, okay? And I was supposed to animate the Y. I don't know why I did the Z over here. So on frame 50, we're just gonna come to the Y and make it -360 degrees, and then press I to insert a keyframe, okay? So I'm gonna leave that mistake in because sometimes mistakes happen. So in the front orthographic view, this is what we should see. Okay, looks pretty good. There doesn't seem to be any sliding. This is kind of just how I've worked it out, okay? But you're wondering, why isn't this thing following along, right? Isn't this the whole point? So that's what I'm going to show you. So go back to frame 1, and then we're going to select this dome here. We're going to go over to our constraints and add an object constraint. And let's go to the child of constraint and then click on an eyedropper and then click on this disk here over here. So now if we press the spacebar, you can see this is going along. And if we actually grab this dome, and you go over here, you can actually see this is influence. If we drag this influence down to 0 and then play it again, you're going to see it doesn't go along, or we can kind of go in between somewhere. You're going to kind of get the idea. It's just following along. So it's kind of a way of, if you, in a sense, want to look at it like a modifier for a constraint, like parenting something to another object, which is really cool. Let's just grab our wheel again, and let's just grab frame 1 for our animations. Shift D, and let's just drag that to 100. So what's going to happen is we're going to go over here, and then we're going to just roll back. What you might want to do actually is just come over here to frame 50, and on frame 50, just grab, just grab this middle keyframe, Shift D to duplicate, and just drag it up about 5 frames, just so we have a slight little hold here. So it just stops for a second and then rolls back. Okay, cool. So now with that established, let's now go to just frame 1 for now. And let's go Shift A, let's add in a circle. And let's go G, Z, and move the circle up. Tab into edit mode and then scale it down, kind of till it's touching the surface here. And we might actually go to our vertex option. And this is, you can make this as rough as you want, but I'm gonna go something like this and go E to extrude, S to scale. E to extrude up, and you can make this whatever you want. I'm gonna go maybe something like this. This is just something that's gonna kind of grab it. So be creative. I'm gonna just extrude it, scale it, maybe extrude it up one more time. And there really is no right or wrong with this. You can make it look like a plunger if you want. You can come up with your own design. I'm just going something really simple. Maybe extrude again, and then extrude it all up, and just take it about this high. Okay, so the idea here is you just have this kind of suction cup thing that comes down. And let's go to our modifiers. Let's give it, under our modifiers, let's give it a bevel, tab back out. Let's just decrease this bevel size here, and let's just increase the segments. And let's also give it a subdivision surface modifier. Let's right click and go shade smooth. So now you're probably wondering, what are we gonna do here? So we're gonna go to our first frame, and we're gonna go to our front orthographic view. And let's actually drag through to frame 150. So frame 50 where this comes to a stop. And let's actually grab this claw. And let's go G, X, and just move it over. And let's just place it, okay, right over this thing over here, like right in the middle, as close as you can get. Okay, you can look at both sides, just kind of eye it, get it in the middle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab this sphere over here. And it has the same origin point as this disk over here, which is kind of important. So let's grab this semi-sphere here. Let's just go Shift S and let's go cursor to selected. And let's select this shaft over here and then go F3 and let's type in origin. And let's just go origin to 3D cursor. And that's really important, okay? So what we're gonna do now at this point is while we're in frame 50, we're gonna select this semi-sphere again. We're gonna go to our constraints and let's go ahead and give it another child of constraint. And this time we're going to click on this eyedropper here and then click on this shaft here. And what we need to do on frame 50 with a value of 1 on the first one, we're going to go ahead and click on this tab little button here to add a keyframe. And with this one, we're going to drag it all the way down to 0 and we're going to also give that a keyframe, but on 0. Then we're going to move up 1 frame, so to frame 51. And now we're going to drag this one down to 0 and this one up all the way to 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to give them both a keyframe, like so. So now if we go to frame 1 and we hit the spacebar, we should see this. Okay, so something is a bit weird here. Let me just quickly check it out. So while we have the semi-sphere active, let's just quickly come here and we insert these keyframes. Let's just select the second keyframe, just delete it. So we only have the one on frame 50. So we've deleted that second keyframe and we can just go clear inverse. So make sure it's back to where it was. And then what we're going to do is once again, we're just going to skip up 1. And let's start here and let's just quickly drag down this influence all the way to 0. Let's add a keyframe and then let's drag it back up to 1 over here. And let's add in a keyframe on frame 51. Okay, so now let's see if that works. Okay, so we're going to go to frame 1 and let's just hit the space bar. So it should roll. And then as it's rolling back, it leaves this behind. Okay, so that's worked. So just to recap, all we've done here, it's really simple, is we've added in a keyframe for these 2 constraints. So it's now switching from being constrained to this disk to being constrained to this shaft grabber thingy over here. So you can see here on frame 50, the values switch over all of a sudden on the next frame, which leaves it now constrained to this object. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab this grabber arm and we're going to come to frame 50. And on frame 50, we're going to go I and insert a location keyframe. And let's just quickly go up about to frame 60 and let's just go G, Z and move it up like so. And then go I and insert a location keyframe. So let's have a look at that. Okay, and then it rolls back. So there we go. Now that's looking really cool. And then what we need to do is let's come to the end frame value and make it 200. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grab, as this wheel is rolling back, we're going to actually go to frame 90 and then go G and then move this up even more. And then go I, insert a location. And then let's go to about 120 and let's go G and now place it over here roughly. And then go I, insert a location. And then we're going to come to about 150 and we're going to go G, Z and bring it down. And let's just try our best just to eye it and place it on top of here. Just so it's sitting on that disk. You can go into wireframe, it really helps with this. So just getting it as close as we can in the middle. And then we're going to go I and insert a location. So let's have a look at that. So this is what we're going to see. It's going to come like this. It's going to grab it. And it's going to put it down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have it, but let's just grab this 121, Shift D, let's just take it to 170. So as soon as it comes down, it's going to go back up. Don't worry about it taking it with it. We're going to fix that in a sec. And let's just go to 185 and let's just go back to our first frame or back to our front orthographic view. And on 185, we're going to go G and move it over here to where our cursor is, just above our cursor. Let's just go I and insert a location keyframe. So what we're going to have is this, like so. And let's just come to frame 1 and then let's just grab this keyframe on frame 50, Shift D to duplicate and let's drag it to 200. So essentially this thing is going to go back to where it started. Okay. The only thing we need to do now is we need to fix the constraints over here. So let's grab this semi-sphere again and let's drag through our animation. So we're going to come to frame 50. Then it rolls back to 100. it comes back, it drops it in here, and at 150 is we're going to come here, click on both of these keyframes to add in a value, and then skip up one frame, and then let's drag the influence to 1 keyframe, the bottom influence to 0, and click on the keyframe. And now what it's going to do, as it pulls back up, it's going to leave that back where it was. And now the whole thing is just going to repeat seamlessly, making this a perfect looping animation. So there's a few things we need to fix. So let's just grab this arm over here. And let's just, over here, you can see about this section here, it's intersecting a little bit. So all we're going to do is come to frame 1. We're going to go I and insert a location for it, the arm here. And then as it's coming closer, we're just going to go G, Z, move it up a bit and go I, insert a location. So it just kind of lifts out of the way just a little bit. You might have to drag that keyframe up just a bit more. So just experiment with it, something like that. Okay, that looks really cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go Shift A, let's just add in a plane. And actually I'm going to go Shift S and go cursor to world origin. And let's just add in a plane again. And let's just go S, X and scale it along the X about this much. Control A and apply the scale. Then let's tab into edit mode and let's grab this edge over here in our right orthographic view. Go to our vertex select option and let's just go E to extrude and Y, move it out a little bit. And then we're going to go E to extrude down like so. Make a little bit of a valley and then E to extrude onto Y again, out like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select this edge over here and back in our right or left orthographic view, we're going to go E to extrude and Y, move it out to here. And then E to extrude and Z, take it up in the Z to about halfway. And then we're going to go E to extrude and X or Y in this case, and move this in like so. Okay, there we have that. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure to save to my desktop. And let's go and get some materials. Now, the website I recommend is polyhaven.com. And you can kind of browse for here. And one of the materials that I've found that it works really well for this is this one here. I'll quickly show you. I've already downloaded it. So I'll put a link to it in the description. It's called Square Concrete Pavers. And I downloaded it as a zip folder, and inside of the zip folder you get a blend file. So you can just come over here and you can look for the Square Concrete one. Once again, I'll put a link to this one in the description. And all you have to do once you have that blend file is simply in your project, just go File and then go, just make sure you're in object mode, to go File, Append. In this case it's on my downloads. I'm just going to quickly grab that and here it is. Click on the blend file, go to material and click on that material. And then just select this floor and then go over to your materials, come to the drop down and you should see Square Concrete Pavers. Then you can go Z and go to your material preview. And if it's a mess like this, just go to UV editing, press A to select everything and then go U and unwrap. And then in your material preview, you should be able to see the size. So in this case, you can just come over here and scale things. I'm going to go with something like this. I think that looks pretty cool. And then I'm going to tab back out. And actually I might tab in here quickly and just go to face select and select this middle face. And I'm just going to go to my materials, click plus, create a new material just as a placeholder and assign it. And then there's another material. I'm going to go file, append, and I've got this downloaded as well. It's just called laminate floor. I'm going to click on the blend file, import the material, and once again I'll put a link to these Polyhaven materials in the description below. And then once you have that laminate floor imported, you're going to go to your placeholder, come to the drop down and give it that laminate floor. And it should be nicely UV unwrapped. If you wanted to, you could separately grab this face and you could scale it up over here till you like what you get. But this is what I'm going to go with. And let's go back to our layout. Let's add in a camera. So I'm going to go Shift A, add in a camera. And then you can go into your camera, move your camera around to whatever position you like. I'm going to go to frame 1 like so and just kind of rotate it like this. And then I'm going to go to my camera settings and I'm going to make this orthographic, which is what I prefer to work in these days. And I'm going to kind of zoom it out with the orthographic scale. And yeah, maybe something like this looks cool. And let's go Control B and just drag over our camera to limit the render. And let's go enable cycles and then If you have a GPU, I'd recommend you use it. We're going to go with about 50 samples for the render. And then what I also recommend you do is you go to your world properties and you also get an environment texture. I've got a few already saved on my computer, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab one that I really like. But if you want one, you can just go to Polyhaven, and under the assets, they have a whole bunch of HDRIs. Pick whichever one you like to use. Once again, there will be links in the description below to that website where you can get the materials. So if you now go Z and you go rendered, you should be able to see we have this. And you can go Shift A and add in some nice area lights. And you can go ahead and give them some bigger strengths, maybe a few hundred, increase the size. Be as creative as you want. And you can duplicate your lights a few times. For mine, I think I went with 1000. For the strength, it really depends on the scene scale. But something like this looks pretty cool. Okay, something like that. And then let's go ahead and grab the wheel over here. Let's give it a new material. Let's make it metallic by increasing the slider to 1. Let's decrease the roughness. Not all the way, maybe just a bit. And let's go give it a darker kind of value and make it kind of like a creamish golden color. And then let's grab this thing over here, give it that same material. Let's just call it brass actually. And what we could do is just maybe decrease the roughness a bit. You mess around with it however you want. And then we're going to select this disc over here. For my original, I just gave it a wooden material that I downloaded. So you can go ahead, find whatever material you want, or you can just give it this pre-existing wooden floor material, which I might just do for the tutorial's sake. So I'm going to give it that laminate material. I might just go into my UV editing. And just for now, quick and dirty, I'm just going to press A to select everything, and I'm going to go U, and then go Smart Unwrap, and then go OK. And let's see what that looks like in the preview. Okay, that looks okay. I think we can get away with that. And then let's grab this semi-sphere here. Going to go back to my layout. Let's go New, and let's just give it kind of like a greenish color. Let's give it some transmission, and let's bring down that roughness. And now if we go Z and we go Rendered, we can see we have this kind of nice glass looking material, and I added some scratches to my original one, a bit of bump, but you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to go maybe something like that. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. And then what I did for my original as well is I just went into edit mode and just separated a section like this. It's completely up to you how you want to go about doing this. I'm just going to quickly cover this, and we're going to go P, separate by selection. And then you can go ahead and get rid of these materials and give it a new material and call it grass. And then you can go to your base color, give it an image texture. I just went and downloaded a grass image online, so I'm going to go ahead and find that. And now if I go to my material preview, you can see here it is. Then I'm just going to go to my particle system, click on the plus, give it hair, click on advanced, bring down the length a little bit, and maybe make it 500 particles. And let's just go to the children over here, make it interpolated. Pretty simple. Let's just go to roughness, give it a little bit of ununiformity and an endpoint value. And that's it. That's quick and easy grass. So now let's make sure to save. And let's just quickly go to our render options here. Let's just quickly enable motion blur as well. And let's give this a quick little render. So render image. And here we have it. I think that looks pretty good. You can definitely work on it a little bit more. But this animation is pretty much done for now. I'll quickly show you guys what I did with my original. Now my original is the exact same animation. The only difference is here I added in some of my plant assets that I had, just dragged them into the blend file, and I might have made my grass a little bit longer. And I just added these little simple little tracks, which is just kind of like a half sphere that I extruded, a half circle, and then gave some thickness. I just thought that looks cool, but that's about it. This was a very simple animation. Add some more, oops, it just crashed anyway, but add as much detail as you want. Make it your own, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I will be adding my original one to my Patreon as well, and that really also helps support the channel for those of you who join the Patreon, and it gives you access to a lot of these sort of assets. I'll see you guys next time for another tutorial.